Hey guys, Mark from Soundby here again, and today I'm excited to be back in the studio for another gear tip. In today's gear tip, I'm going to be talking about the concept of different microphones from recording electric guitar. There are a ton of ways to record electric guitar amplifiers, and it really is just going to boil down to your personal preference and what the song and production is calling for. This is not going to be a deep dive because there are a lot of variables and a lot of different avenues you can explore, but this is just going to be kind of demonstrating the three most common types of microphones used when recording amps. So we have a dynamic microphone, a ribbon microphone, and a condenser microphone. A lot of these are used as individual mics, but a lot of the times they are often paired up together as well. So I'm going to kind of explain what you can expect to hear from each one of these mics by themselves and kind of give you an example of each, and we can go from there. So in demonstration, I'm going to be using the three probably most common and ubiquitous microphones out there that you'll find in almost every studio. You have your trusty Shure SM57, which is a dynamic microphone. You have your Royer R121, which is a ribbon very closely associated with electric guitars. And then the classic Neumann U87, which is the FET LDC large diaphragm condenser mic. Again, to highlight this, these different types of microphones are going to sound different, but then there's also types of those microphones that will sound different. Not every LDC is going to sound the same, just as not every dynamic mic and ribbon mic is going to sound the same. They're all going to be voiced differently, so just take that into consideration when reviewing these samples. One disclaimer to mention too is that there are different sweet spots for each of these individual mics. I have these set up closely as possible and just a few inches away from the grill, just because I'm going to be doing one performance and I want these to be as closely phase matched as possible. Typically you'll find a dynamic mic or an SM57 most commonly put against the grill. That is not a hard and fast rule. There are really no hard and fast rules of recording. That is just the most commonplace. Same thing with the U87. Personally, I wouldn't stick it straight up against the amp like this, but just to kind of have a baseline point of reference, these are all going to be the same. So I'm going to work my way down from the neck pickup of the Telecaster down to the bridge, just so you can hear how these microphones handle the change in response from the instrument and the playing differently as it goes from more low end to kind of more cutting top end. So we'll start with the neck pickup here, just something kind of clean and easy passage. So switching over to the middle pickup here, I'll play something a little more strummy, a little more jangly, just so you can hear how these transients begin to pop in each one of these microphones. Lastly, going over to the bridge pickup here, I'll play something a little more funky so you can hear how it gets kind of cutty, a little more sharp. So you should definitely take some time to download the high-res files of these so you can really kind of compare for yourself and solo each individual one of these mics and kind of hear what your ear gravitates towards most. Most commonly, again, this is not, it's hard to make a generalization like this because every mic is different, but most commonly the characteristics of a dynamic will be a little slower on the transients, a little bit darker, and kind of just a little bit more focused if you're using a cardioid pattern like this. That's why you'll see people just really stick an SM57 right against the grill because you get a lot of attack, you get a lot of mid-range out of the 57 here, and it's just a perfect pairing with kind of the most frequencies that guitars give off. Just kind of tend to fit a dynamic mic like the 57 in there in the pocket really well. With a ribbon, especially a bi-directional ribbon mic like this is, you get a little bit more kind of weightiness to it. It's a little bit darker, a little bit smoother. People really like ribbons for distortion because they really kind of handle those aggressive transients with grace. And it just can get a little tubby depending on your placement, so that is one thing to be careful with, but when you find the sweet spot, especially with the Royer, you get a really nice, just kind of natural sound from your guitar. The word natural always comes to mind when describing ribbons, just because they give you that full bloom, smooth depiction of your instrument. The large diaphragm condenser, like the U87, this one is really tricky to work with on guitars in my opinion, but when it's done right, it can sound amazing. It is going to be the most detailed of the three, so when you're playing something with distortion like that, it can tend to fight you, so that's why you want to find the perfect sweet spot for it. When you're playing something cleaner, more articulate and defined, where you want all those transients and the hits, it can really complement your playing and really complement the instrument. This will tend to be voiced a little bit brighter, so that's why you'll see people oftentimes use multiple microphones on an electric guitar like this. So again, using those high-res files, I encourage you to solo 2 at a time and kind of play with the balance. I really love pairing a ribbon mic and an LDC like the U87 together because I find it really gives me the full range of frequencies from the guitar. You really get that kind of body, that low end, that bloom, and then the U87 gives you that kind of sparkle on top, especially with clean playing. With something a little more garagey, a little more aggressive with some kind of distortion, the 57 and the ribbon give you a lot of body and a lot of mid-range, and I find that combination to be really malleable, so that is something I would definitely take an EQ to and try to maybe sculpt out, especially in the context of a mix when you feel like, whoa, there's too much low mids in the guitar, but it's always better to maybe kind of sculpt out than try to add what was never there to begin with. So that's kind of the rundown. I definitely think you should download the files and experiment for yourself. Thanks for taking a second to check out this video here. I would love to hear your feedback. Definitely shoot us a message and I'll be happy to send the files of your way. And give us a call anytime, or shoot us an email at proaudio@soundpure.com. Let us know what you might be recording, and we're always happy to make recommendations for microphones, preamps, etc. We do have a try before you buy, so if you think that one of these mics might work for you, but you really want to hear it on your own instrument, on your own amp, give us a call. We're happy to send any of these out to you to kind of experiment, put through the paces. As always, thanks for checking this out, and we'll see you next time.